Hello and welcome to Data Extraction 2. We're here today to learn more about our flexible and intuitive way to do data extraction within Covidence. I can see that we have Sue and Tracy and Valerie, quite a few in attendance today. Congratulations for joining our webinar. Before we jump in, here's some background information about Covidence. Covidence was created by and for the research community and is designed to streamline the review process from creating your review to importing your references through to title and abstract screening to data extraction and risk of bias assessment. The platform allows our review teams to significantly reduce the amount of time spent on reviews and produce high quality evidence faster. We have a full-time team based around the world, continuously working on improving the product and technical support to our global community of over 400,000 users. What is Covidence? It is a web-based software that enables you to manage review projects and collaborate on tasks. It is not a reference manager, it's not a database or search engine. Covidence does not perform meta-analysis. However, Covidence is a platform designed to support review teams, starting with title and abstract screening through to data extraction and quality assessment. Imagine data as a massive lake and data extraction as casting a net to catch relevant information. Now, this stage of the review process involves sifting through the data lake to find meaningful patterns and knowledge. Researchers extract significant insights from data sources. So today we will take a deep dive into Covidence Extraction 2 tool. So before we get started, I would like to run a poll to find out how confident you feel about data extraction. So let's take a moment. I've launched the poll. And if you would take a moment to go ahead and answer the poll. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the poll now and go ahead and share the poll results. Okay, I can see that 44% are not confident at all, 50% somewhat confident, and 6% very confident. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera at this time. So the purpose of today's webinar is to first educate teams on the features and benefits of Extraction 2 in Covidence, because it is one of the most important and difficult parts of every review project. Next, we'll demonstrate how to manage settings for data extraction. We'll discuss the 5 steps when conducting data extraction, and we'll demonstrate how to create a data extraction template in Extraction 2. My name is Delindia Green-Lachlan. I'm a community manager here at Covidence, and I'm based in the USA. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Stephanie Hawkins, who is also a community manager based in the US, and Razia Aliani, also a community manager based in Canada. Both Stephanie and Razia will filter questions throughout today's session. Data extraction can be the most difficult and time-consuming part of every review project. Data extraction is a critical stage in systematic reviews, whether they involve qualitative or quantitative studies. For intervention reviews, data extraction aims to collect necessary information from eligible studies. This includes specific information regarding study characteristics, populations, interventions, outcomes, as well as results. This information is important for conducting meta-analysis. Now, following good practice guidelines and being familiar with your protocol during data extraction will definitely ensure efficiency and minimize errors. Data extraction for non intervention reviews is typically more of an iterative process. Review authors extract data and synthesize key themes. So, the first step in data extraction in Covidence is first to decide what is it you want to capture. Now, this information is a part of your protocol and it should be discussed with your team prior to getting started. Next, once you've decided, you will create an extraction template designed specifically for your review project. The design will be specific to the data you wish to capture for your review. The next step is to collect the data. And keep in mind, you will adjust as you go. Designing an extraction template is an iterative process that brings you closer to its end goal. When creating your template, you may have to go back and make adjustments and gather feedback from your review team and improve as you go along. But keep in mind, the tool is flexible in Covidence, which makes amendments to your template possible. Once you've collected and checked your data, it's now ready for export. Now, Covidence supports teams completing various types of reviews, anywhere from a systematic review to a rapid review, all the way to narrative reviews. Now, if you are starting out and you're not quite sure what type of review you would like to conduct, you can find a brief description of the type of reviews that Covidence supports by going to our knowledge base page. What are the different types of reviews? And here you will receive a brief description of all of the review types that Covidence supports. And you can also take a look at the articles about the different types of reviews on the Covidence blog. Next, Covidence has two extraction tools. Extraction one, which is recommended by Cochrane, and this is best suited for intervention reviews with structured data analysis, data collection for meta-analysis. Whereas extraction two, which we'll be discussing today, is used for non-intervention reviews with custom data collection. Data extraction two can support any framework, not only PICO. Now, it supports um, both dual and single reviewer extraction, and it exports to a CSV. Once you have created your review in Confidence, you can go to settings located at the top of your dashboard. Once you've created your review, scroll down to the bottom of the screen and select the extraction tool that's best suited for your review. Now, Confidence features are designed to anticipate challenges that come along with selecting and designing a data extraction tool. So, our product team added a feature that allows you to change tools after you've started. So, let's say if you start in extraction one and decide that extraction two is best suited for your review, you can adjust settings and begin in extraction one. Keep in mind, any data collected in one tool will not transfer over to the other. You will have to start at the beginning with data extraction, but it allows that flexibility with the indecisiveness sometimes with creating your data extraction tool. Now, extraction two can be set up for any structured framework. We can use frameworks to guide the development of our extraction form. So here's an example where we're using the PECO framework. For purposes of this review, we have built a data extraction template from a protocol assessing the impact of social media use on body image and university students. So participants and populations within the PECO framework here refers to the characteristics of the people that you want to study. Now, within this review, we're looking at university students. The ENPECO exposure within this framework refers to the factor or condition of interest that the researcher is investigating within this study. And here we're interested in the use of social media. Within this particular study, we do not have a comparator. Last is outcomes. And the outcome describes the health outcomes or effects being measured. Here we're interested in the body image of the student, the university students. So let's take a dive in. Let's take a look at a review. Now, once again, as I explained in the previous slide, you are able to switch between the settings by selecting the settings buttons at the top of the dashboard. Once you've created the review, you can switch between tools, okay? And here it provides you with details of what extraction one provides as well as extraction two. And keep in mind, it's not possible to transfer the data from one tool to the next. Now, extraction two is much more flexible. It's fully customizable, meaning you can start from scratch. You can add customized headings, subheadings to include multiple choice boxes and tables. It's more suited for all other projects, including scoping reviews as well as qualitative reviews. Now, to begin data extraction, you must first publish a data extraction template or a quality assessment template. Any updates made to the templates are applied to all study forms for consistent data. So I'll go ahead and click on this button. What you see here, this is a basic template that is built into the system. Keep in mind, it is completely customizable. This template can capture all of the information regarding your study. As you can see, general information, population intervention, exposure and comparisons, and outcomes. But you can also start from scratch if you would like. So let's say if I wanted to start from scratch, all items will be removed from this template. Are you sure you want to proceed? So let's go ahead and proceed. So if you wanted to start from scratch and develop your template with the fields that I'll display in just a moment, you can go ahead and do so. So what we'll do now is go back to this review. Okay, now this is the review that was in the previous slide, the impact of social media use on body image and university students. Now, as you can see, this is a review in progress. The last stage after screening is data extraction. During extraction, you'll typically have a much smaller set of references, as you can see here, than in previous stages because you will have screened out most of the studies. So what we're looking at is Covidence Extraction 2, which is flexible and intuitive and can accommodate any type of review from an intervention review as well as a qualitative and scoping review. So this is what we're looking at here. So what you're looking at here is a published template. I'll go ahead and click on this on the data extraction template. If you notice here, the data extraction template and the quality assessment template are now they're white. And this is because the template has now been published. So once you publish the template, it will be white, both the data extraction as well as the quality assessment template. Now, within Covidence, the data extraction template, we have 6 template fields, and we can access that by clicking this button, the plus button here. And these fields will help you create your data extraction template. Now, these are the only tools you'll need to create the template. Okay, when you are looking at this form, you'll see editor and you'll see preview and you'll see item section. Well, you'll make all of these, you'll create your template within the editor section. And as you're creating this, you will see this in the preview section. So let's go through each one of these data fields. As you can see, headings. A heading allows you to create smaller chunks and easily divide up the data extraction into sections such as the author information, journal, year, publication, characteristics. So let's take a look. As you can see here, this was created using a heading, general information. And as you scroll down in the preview, you can see general information. The review team decided to use a heading to capture the method section, population, exposure. We're looking at social media use here, outcomes, body image. So headings are useful for creating your data extraction to capture any headings for your data extraction tool that you're designing. So once again, let's click the plus sign. And the next heading, let's talk about subheadings. Subheadings allow further distinctions of sections within the form. So let's find an example of a subheading. Sampling frame. As you can see, within this review, the review team was interested in capturing to distinct further distinction of the population. And they were able to use this particular field, a subheading, to create sampling frame. Here's the population, and here's a more distinct description of that particular heading. Okay, so I'll go ahead once again and click on the plus sign, and let's describe the text fields. Now, text fields can be used to capture any kind of information and any length of information. It's useful in all types of reviews, as it can also capture uh, information for qualitative information like themes and quotes. And I will show you that shortly. So let's go ahead and take a look at text information. As you can see here, a title was created using a text box. Authors, years of publication, journal, notes and observations, topic, as you can see here, a free text box. Once again, a free text box here. So we'll scroll back up to the top and let's click on the plus sign. The next option is the single choice list, which allows the extractor to select only one item from a list, such as a list of studies or designs or countries. So here, this is an example. And if you look in the preview section, the authors here, they're interested in where was the study conducted. And you have options UK, the US, Canada. Let's say you run across a study doing data extraction, and New Zealand is the country where this information, this study was conducted. You can always go in and capture that information. As you can see, it is listed in the preview, and this is how it will appear on the data extraction forms. So in Covidence, you have the flexibility to adapt the tool as needed. It's an iterative process, it's not static. So if there's something that you forgot along the way, no problem. You can always come back and capture that information. So next, let's talk about uh, the check boxes. As you can see, there's a checkbox here. Okay. And checkboxes are designed to allow the review to tick one or more options from the list. So let's say here, the data collection tool, as you can see that here under the preview, The reviewers were interested in what types of tools were used to capture the data. And here you can see surveys, interviews, focus groups, others. Let's say we run across a study that captured the information using a semi-structured tool, and you would like to add that. Once again, in Covidence, it's flexible and you can always adapt your form to the needs of your review. Now, the last data field that's available is a custom table. Okay, custom tables allows you to capture baseline characteristics, interventions, outcome data, in a tabular format, whichever uh, information that you would like to capture for your review. And as you can see, when I click on gender, as you can see here in the preview, our review team, they were interested in capturing information as it relates to gender. So here, the review team was interested in women, men, non-binary. Let's say there was they wanted to add another variable here. So we can go to item settings and click on add column, and let's say want to place other. Um, you can add as many columns as necessary to meet the needs of your review. Okay. In addition to adding additional columns, you can also add different headings, row headings. At the time that they designed this template, they were interested in gender. As they moved along, perhaps there were other variables of interest that they were interested in, such as height or maybe weight, race. You can continue to add as many columns and rows as necessary to meet the needs of your review. Now, let's say we've started this process and you wanted to edit this heading. As you can see in the preview section, this is in real time. If I made a typo, I can go back and type over and edit over each section. Okay, you're able to do that. As you can see that in real time. Now you'll also see under item sections instructions for extractors. Let's say for this particular field, there was information that the review team wanted to ensure that all review members capture the necessary information. So these are instructions here that we would like to capture the title, the abstract, and the report from that data. Let's say I would like to ensure that we keep this within 50 characters. That information will populate directly under that particular field. So it's quite flexible and it allows communication across teams. Now, I can also reorder this list. It's not fixed. I can drag and drop this at any time. Okay. So let's say I've started this process and I'm interrupted and I would like to save this. You can save the draft. It's not ready to be published, but it will be in the exact form as you left it when you return. So once you're ready to publish it, then it will be ready for the team for data extraction. Okay, so let's go back. And once again, once these have been published, they will turn white as we can see that. So you can begin setting up your data extraction template and quality assessment template as soon as you create your review. So as in this review, nothing has been imported. As you can see, no references have been imported, but at the very beginning of the process, using your protocol, you can go ahead and design your data extraction tool. That's the first demo. Do we have any questions, Razia, Stephanie, that you would like to answer?
Thank you, Delindia. That was a very clear presentation. We do have a lot of questions, so what I'll do right now is I will answer some of the frequent questions, although I've answered a lot of them already. What I'll do is I'll answer the frequent questions here as well. Like there were actually many queries regarding what happens when we have multiple quality assessment tools, or what happens when you're conducting mixed method studies. Um, so what I take from these questions is that when you need a lot of templates. So if that is the case, so for example, um, if you have a mixed method study where you have got where you want to have a template for example, for risk of bias tool, and you also need a template for strobe. So in those cases where you need multiple quality assessment templates, what we recommend is that you make one quality assessment template, and then you add in multiple tools. And then what happens is that whenever you come to fill in those templates, you fill only the templates that's appropriate to a specific reference. So, and then the other template you can leave empty, like the other fields, you can leave those empty. And that's how, so once you export that to a CSV, you can very easily then save it as an Excel, and then you can split it into multiple sheets by filtering based on the filled columns. So for the studies for which a specific a specific tool has been filled, you would know that, and you can very easily transfer that into multiple sheets. Then there were questions around uh, yeah, whether or not you can download the template, or I would say basically reuse the template for another review. This is unfortunately not possible, but what we recommend currently, but it's something we are working on improving. In the meantime, what we recommend is that you can basically produce a PDF of your templates by using, there's this Chrome extension called Go Full Page, which you can use, and then you can but then you'll have to set it up again. And there are many other questions as well. Also regarding the webinar recording, a lot of people are asking. So yes, you will receive the recording within 24 hours. So yeah, so basically there are few questions around what are the fields that are automatically exported. So author, year, and title will be automatically exported. There is no other metadata that's exported automatically, so you will need to fill in that these this data. We are in the, yeah, and then there was this AI question as well. So we are currently in the process of integrating AI and at least exporting metadata in data extraction 1. So hopefully we'll have that in data extraction 1 in a few months. And for all other questions, we will be responding here or via email. So I'll hand over to Delindia again to proceed with the next section of the demo. And we'll also take
Thank
question answers towards the end.
Thank you, Razia. Thank you for answering that in such detail. Now let's take a look at the quality assessment template. And Razia has already spoken to some of this, but I'll go ahead and reiterate. The quality assessment template is automatically pre-populated by the Cochrane Risk of Bias 2 version 1, but you can start from scratch and adapt your own, or choose to use this template and add any additional quality assessment ratings or judgments, or even choose to change the domain. So I think I'm in the wrong right here. quality assessment. Here we go. So here, once again, you can drag and drop. It has all of those features that the data extraction tool has as well. You can create a domain, you can duplicate a domain, you can add instructions to the extractors as well. And you can also start from scratch with your own template. So now, if you're not including random control trials, and let's say want to use the Newcastle Iowa scale, for example, for observational studies, the Quadus 2 for diagnostic test studies, or the Critical Appraisal Skills Program, CASP, for qualitative studies, you can start from scratch and manually enter your tool here. Okay, so let's go back to the impact of social media. And here you'll see this is an example of a quality assessment tool created using the CAS qualitative studies list. So this is the tool created within Covidence. And using all of the sections, as you can see, different domains were captured and different instructions provided to the review team. Okay. And all of this can be added by just clicking on the plus sign. Once again, you can save the draft if you're not ready and come back to it later. But when you're ready for the review team to go ahead and use the form, you go ahead and click this button and it will publish and be available to your team. So once you have set up your template and published your template, this is what it will look like. Okay. Here you will see the PDF. You'll see the studies on the left and the extraction status here on the right. Here you can see the reviewers and the last date that they've extracted the data. So it keeps you up to date with what's taking place within your review. Now you can also go to these tabs and gives you an idea of where you are in extraction status. Right now, there's a total of 8 studies that have been included here. 3 haven't been started, 3 are in progress. One is requiring consensus, and the other one is complete. So once you have set up both of your templates to your satisfaction, this is what you'll see. The button will say begin extraction. So let's go ahead and click this button. Once you've clicked the button, you're ready to begin filling in your custom framework. So this is the data extraction template that was created using all the data extraction fields to capture the relevant information that's needed by the review team. And also the CASP qualitative studies checklist. You'll see the PDF on the left, I'm sorry, and you can zoom in and out, which I love this feature. You can also copy and paste the information and place it in the correct field, which saves time and allows you to toggle between data extraction and quality assessment. So let's say you are in the process of capturing this information and you need to leave, you can save that information before sending it for consensus. Okay, so once you've completed everything, you can go ahead and send for consensus. So keep in mind, not all review types need 2 reviewers for extraction. If you are doing a scoping or narrative review, for example, you might only need 1 reviewer, and you can change the number of reviewers required by going back to the review settings. So let's go back. So you've sent your information so you've decided that you're ready to make your completed form available to your co-reviewers for resolving consensus. Okay, so it will say begin consensus right here. I'll go ahead and click on that. You'll see that there are now three columns, one for the final decision and both for reviewer 1 and 2. Okay, where the answer is the same, you can go ahead and click that if you agree with that, and it will populate in the final decision. You can also override the, the, the decision here with what's correct. Okay, and where there is a discrepancy, as you can see, everything will be in purple. Okay, so if I wanted to go ahead and finalize that decision, I will just go ahead and click here. Okay, so that was extraction 2 in dual reviewer mode. Now, if you have selected to do single reviewer mode, there is no consensus stage, but you will be prompted to check your data before you finalize it. So keep that in mind. There are some features here that I would like to share. So you can add tags. So before adding a tag to a review, let's say I wanted to add a tag to 2016. So let's say test and save it. As you can see, any tag that you would like to add to communicate to your reviewers, other reviewers, can be added at the data extraction stage, and you can also remove it as well. You can also filter by tag by coming up to this empty box, using the drop down box. Let's say I would like to know how many references have the awaiting classification tag. And as we can see, we have 1. Okay, you can also merge studies. Let's say if you would like to merge uh, this study, 2016, and GITA 2021, you would select the studies that you would like to merge as one study and select Merge as Study. Now, once you select the studies, you will be asked to set a study ID, to assign one paper as the study ID. So let's go ahead and select 2016, and we've set the study as a study ID. As you can see, both papers now have been merged, and it's one ID for this particular paper. Now, in Covidence, you can unmerge studies as well. Let's say this was done in error or you've changed your mind. You can easily unmerge the study. You will be prompted that all studies will return back to the state that they were in before they were merged. And this does include restoring unextracted data. So let's go ahead and do this. And you'll see those are independent studies now. Okay, and another feature I would like to show is the Manage Reviewers feature. Now, if a reviewer has started data extraction or consensus, you can now reassign the study to someone else on your review team by pressing the Manage Reviewer option. Let's say Julie started the process and she's leaving, and I would like to go ahead and pick up where she left off. The option would be to preserve extraction data or clear the extraction data and start from scratch with this particular reference. So once I've done that, I can go ahead and save it and move forward with the review. So it provides for that flexibility. Last, you're ready to export. Okay, from extraction 2, once you have completed extracting your data and reached consensus, a CSV export format is available, as Razia explained, and that data has been gathered during the data extraction process. Um, that facilitates importing of the extracted data into a statistical program such as Stata or an SPSS. You can access this export function from this page as well as from the review summary page. Okay, here you will see there are several options for the data you want to export. The default is consensus data, but you can see that there are several options here. Okay, quality assessment, consensus only, all the way to all data. So that completes the overview of data extraction and risk of bias assessment in Covidence. So if you have any additional questions, continue to write them down in the chat. We have about 15 minutes, and Stephanie will be answering these questions. So I'll go ahead and see if you have any questions, Stephanie, that haven't been answered.
Thanks, Delindia. We do have a few questions about merging studies. So the purpose of merging a study is perhaps two different published, two different pieces of publication are talking about the same study. So this way you'll merge the studies, so you only need to fill out one data extraction form so that the information and the results and the outcomes don't get duplicated in when you actually go to publish your review project. So this allows you, merging allows you to fill out one data extraction form for multiple publications reporting on the same study. So really good question there. And we do have another question about what's the process of piloting you'd recommend for a large team? So I think I've answered a few of these questions in the Q&A, but I do want to, this one I think I can better answer out loud. So I do want to note you can republish a template at any time. So as you, and you'll probably need to, as you are piloting your data extraction form, you'll want to do that with a few different studies so that you know that your data that you thought you needed to collect is actually what is available in the studies that you're looking at. So with a large team, you'll probably want a few, want each individual extractor probably, or the senior members on the team to fill out a data extraction form as you have it, and then make any edits to the template as needed. So you'll want to do this before consensus starts, before anyone starts working on consensus, because when you go to republish a template, any consensus data that's been done will be removed and will need to be redone. This is because new fields are probably added to the template. So you want to make any changes to your data extraction and QA templates before you do consensus. So that's our recommendation on piloting. And this is an iterative process. Data extraction is, Delindia said this at the beginning, but it's the most difficult part and time-consuming part of a review process. So you'll want to pilot that form, and it does take a few iterations. Oh, one question: can a third person, a non-reviewer, help with data extraction for the basic study information and leave the results and outcome data to the expert panel extractors? We have over 1,000 studies to review and trying to speed up this process to help our expert volunteers. So yes and no. So it depends on what you what they would be filling out. So you can manage reviewers. So perhaps a third person. Everyone does need to have their own account within Covidence. So we don't recommend people working within other people's accounts because it's free for anybody to create an account in Covidence. So you could potentially manage reviewers. So Delindia showed how you can preserve a data extraction form and then assign it to a new person. So that can work whether you are in this person's use case scenario of a third person like starting some data extraction, but at any time you can manage reviewers. So even if somebody leaves the team, somebody has started data extraction, you can preserve the form to assign it to a new person. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Thank you, Stephanie. Are there any more questions?
Yeah, Razia, feel free to jump in if you see any others. And I do want to read. I think a few questions have come in uh, about multiple data extraction or quality assessment templates in one form, or multiple forms in one template, excuse me. So you'll just want to create, it'll be a bigger template. So you'll start off with perhaps the Newcastle Ottawa scale. And then once that form has been once that form has been completed in the template, then below that, you could do possibly the Cochrane risk of bias tool. Those are two completely different tools, but you'll want to add the different tools within the template. And then when you're filling out the quality assessment, this goes for data extraction too, you just leave anything blank that is not relevant to that particular study that you're filling out.
Yes, and I would just like to jump in on this question because a lot of people have been asking that how do we actually do it? Can you demonstrate? So basically, what you can do is that number one, in the domain is Dilinja, can you just open the quality assessment template and I'll kind of narrate how they can actually do it. So for example, in the domain section, you can just add number one, the heading of the template. So for example, Newcastle, Ottawa, or yeah, CASP, whatever. When you enter this, you will see on the right hand side, it looks like a heading. And then under this, you can either add yes or no. And that's how when you come, and then for other, and then you can add in your Newcastle, Ottawa, whatever the elements are, whatever the criteria is that you can add in the subsequent fields. And then when you're done with this, at the end, when you're done with one tool, then you can very similarly add another tool. So for example, now you want risk of bias. So you can then add again risk of bias and then yes and no. And the reason I'm asking you to have this yes and no question in the start is because when you come to filter your template, you can very easily do that when you export it on Excel, and then you can very easily filter it by this column. So you'll see this column as Newcastle, Ottawa, and then you can filter it by yes, and then you can copy paste all those elements in a separate sheet. So that's how you can very easily uh, transfer your specific tools to a different sheet for further evaluate your quality assessment based on specific tools. And there were actually more questions about merging. I think some of the people were confused between merging and duplicates. So duplicates is different from merging. So when you import your references, Covidence detects duplicates. And if the duplicates are missed, you can also manually mark duplicates during screening. But merging is different. For duplicates, they are the same title, same author, same study. But we merge the studies that are coming from one study but different papers. So for example, if there is an RCT, a trial, and then what authors are doing is that they published the results from one outcome in the first year, and then they publish the result of another outcome after 2 years. The study is coming from this, the papers are coming from the same studies, and we do not want to duplicate the denominator. We do not want to duplicate the population when we are doing our meta-analysis or any other analysis. So therefore, we need to merge those studies. So from one study, we have the outcome details, consolidated outcome details that we can extract. And then there were questions about what happens when you unmerge the studies. So when you unmerge the studies, so when you actually merge the studies, you need to select one as a primary study ID. So the all the data extraction that you have filled will be associated with that primary study, and the other merged studies you will not see the data in them. So I mean, if you're unmerging the studies, you probably want to extract data separately from them, so then you can do that. And if there are any other questions, Stephanie, feel free to jump in.
I think we've gotten a few questions about how to switch to single reviewer mode in data extraction for a single reviewer project. Delinda, would you mind going to the settings to show where to do that? Yeah, so you'll want to change from 2 to 1 right there, and then you can click save, and that will then just require a single reviewer to do data extraction, but you will still need to do a check of the data. It's not called consensus, but you'll need to do a check of the data before it goes into the complete section. So you'll still need to check before it will move into complete.
And I would like to add, you can always go to our help button and explore our knowledge base for additional information regarding the platform and any upcoming webinars. So thank you, Stephanie and Razia, for answering those questions. So now we will ask that you try extraction for yourself. Sign up for a free trial. You can start a demo review to try out data extraction. And once again, learn more on our knowledge base articles. For any other questions, please write into our support channel at support@covidence.org. Thank you and have a great day.